Hello, everybody. Welcome to Diamond Effect Podcast, episode 174. Today, I want to talk about customer and client retention. So, not only how to retain your best clients, but also how to improve your retention no matter where you are with it. And the first question I have, do you actually know what's your customer retention? Do you know what's the percentage of the clients that come back to you and use your services over and over? And of course, as service providers, depending on what industry you're in and what type of business you have, the cyclical nature of clients coming back to you will be different, right? So if you are a restaurant or maybe a hair salon or a spa, that cyclicality or the clients coming back to you will be more frequent, right? If you're a restaurant, you could have clients and customers that come to your place every week, once a month, or every quarter. Same with the spa or hair or any other appointments. Or maybe you're a contractor or a designer where the clients come every 2-3 years. They renovate a kitchen or they redesign their living room, and a couple of years later, they want to do their basement. Or maybe you're a service provider where you retain clients on a regular basis for longer periods of time, and then maybe they take a break and they come back. Maybe you're a virtual assistant. You work with clients for years and you see them weekly or meet with them weekly. Or you're a social media manager, or even me as a coach, I work with my clients or longer engagements. And sometimes they're good and never come back. Sometimes they come back on a regular basis. So no matter where you are, whether your services is more ongoing or more frequent cycles or more longer cycles of coming back. Another example that comes to my mind is if you're in financial services, let's say you're a mortgage broker, right? That also the clients will come back to you every so often. But then if you're a bookkeeper, they're with you for years. So no matter where you are, do you know what are your rates of customer retention? How long the customers stay with you? How often they come back? It's a great operational key performance indicator to know. So then you know if you're improving it, whether it's improving or not, right? If we can't measure something, then it's very hard to know if our efforts of improving and raising that standard are going in the right direction. That's the first thing. Now, of course, you know that retaining an existing clients and getting the current clients to come back to you or sell them more of your services, it's much easier than attracting new clients because they already know you, like you, and trust you. They already love you. They've experienced your service. That's why in many established businesses, the key income generator are existing and returning clients. And then as of course, when they grow and scale, they're bringing in new ones as well, because you will have a regular client attrition, right? Whether it's if you're a restaurant and the clients moved out of the area, it's going to be hard for them to come back. Maybe you serve the clients only in their certain parts of their life. And as they're getting older or their life changes, they don't need you anymore, right? There is a regular client attrition that you have to replenish. And of course, as you grow, you need more and more clients. Now, what you don't want to have is type of a leaky bucket in your business, meaning you're bringing in more clients, working hard, but because your retention is low, the clients are leaking out of the bucket and it feels like you're in a hamster wheel, working very hard to bring in new clients, but all you do is barely replace the ones that are leaving. You want to have a robust, solid client base that stays with you, loves you, of course, helps you with the referral. And with that, you can scale by adding new clients. So before I get into the strategic, practical advice, I want to give you one key mindset that will help you improve your client retention and grow that retention. And that is never take existing clients for granted, okay? Because when you get into that mindset, that breeds complacency. And when you're complacent, you don't treat your clients the best you could, right? So always be grateful and appreciate the clients you have, and don't expect them to stay just because they know you or just because you've established a little bit of a relationship with them. Never take them for granted. Always treat them as if they were your brand new customer first crossing the door of your business. I see that often. And if you're here with me in Canada, you'll probably experience that with larger companies, like, for example, our telecommunication companies. They will give you all the deals, all the great service in the beginning when you switch the company. But as that first contract expires, they forget about you. And then they charge you more. Nobody calls, checks in on you saying, hey, that maybe promotion finished. Are you interested in something else? You as a customer need to do that legwork. So no wonder people keep switching from the very little companies we have, going from one to another on a regular basis. And that's a lot of money, I think, to attract and then lose those customers and so on. It's because our telecoms communication companies just take us for granted. Don't do that, especially as a small business owner or even a medium-sized business owner where you don't have the resources of a large, giant corporation. Always treat your clients as if they were the first ones coming in that you want to impress. Don't take them for granted. Be grateful, and that alone will raise your retention rates, I promise you. Because if you did the audit right now and were honest with yourself and thought about where in the customer journey, in my client's experience with me, I might be a bit complacent, I'm taking them for granted, there will be things that might pop up that you will be able to improve right away. But let's move on to 3 key strategies that I wanted to give you and share with you today in this podcast. So the first and the best strategy to keep your clients, to retain them at the highest possible level, is delivering outstanding and consistent service, right? So whatever you provide, if you do it super well, consistently, over and over, your clients will be coming back, because there's nothing worse than getting an amazing service the first couple of times and then coming back as a client, and then the next few times are mediocre. Often, unfortunately, restaurants do that. They open, they have this amazing new menu, everybody's trying, and it's great. You come back a couple of times, you have the great experience, and then as a client, you bring your friends another time and so on, and the food is not as good, and the service is not as great. And you come back again, and it's the same, it's mediocre, because maybe the restaurant wasn't prepared to scale or it doesn't have processes and systems. So you want to make sure that as a business owner, you can deliver the same great service over and over. And there's a few things that I want you to think about in order to achieve that. The first one is, in order to do something repetitively well, you need to have processes and systems that ensure this is done, because the process documents how to do it. So if you think about a restaurant, if you have a recipe for a dish, exactly step by step, not only what ingredients and in what amounts, but how to prepare the dish, you will be able to repeat that. If you're a salon and you have a certain treatment, if you have a process how this treatment needs to be done from the moment that the customer enters your door and how they're going to be treated to the moment they leave, your people will be able to repeat it, right? If you are a coach like me or a provider of kind of more intangible services, if you create concepts, you document things, how you do and what journey your customers need to go through to achieve the results that you offer, you will be able to deliver that over and over. Okay? So then another thing that you want to think about is that treat each customer visit, each customer interaction as unique and special, and yet, of course, following your processes and standards to deliver that highest level. But again, don't get complacent. Don't get into that familiarity kind of bias that, oh, because the client has been here, they know how we roll, because then our brain likes to do shortcuts and we omit certain points or certain parts of customer experience. And it's the whole combination of the customer experience that gives them that feel like they're really special and gives them the entire experience with you, right? So treat every customer interaction as if it was a new one and it was a brand new customer. Then another thing is, when you deliver services, deliver not only what you think the client needs and whatever you need to, whatever your industry you're in, but also what the client wants. And I will give you the example that's more of a technical service business because that sometimes it's easier to illustrate. So when I used to work in my corporate world, in the sort of the business that I was in the department, we grew that business from, I don't remember when I started, maybe it was a $10 million business. We scaled it to 75 or almost $100 million business over the years I was there. And the business we were in was mechanical contracting. So we had technicians that were going into commercial buildings and maintaining the systems of those buildings. So think about your heating, your cooling, your plumbing systems, and so on. And they were repairing those buildings too. Of course, there's some best practices of how to maintain that equipment, right? So the technicians had maintenance plans that were telling them exactly, depending on the time of the year, what are the best practices and what they needed to do. So it wasn't only best practices, but also whatever the client bought and agreed on. So then technicians knew, talking about the processes, which piece of equipment required what based on the time of the year, on the best practice, and on the contractual obligations. So they didn't have to remember. So then the service was delivered at the highest level. Okay, so that was what the equipment was needed. But also what our clients wanted was certain level of documentation of those visits and certain information that the client wanted in order for them to feel like they got the best service. If you think about a piece of equipment itself, the equipment doesn't need information, it just needs to be maintained. But our clients wanted information. So we created processes for the technician in an easy and simple way to deliver that information also in a standardized way so it was useful for the client. When you deliver your service and you serve your clients, think about, okay, what are the best practices? What does the client need to receive the outcome that they want, but also what they want? What do they feel a great service will be? And another example I will share with you, I will actually share with you a great book that I'm recently reading. I'm almost done, but I love it. It's Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. And this is the general manager of one of the best, if not the best restaurant in the world, 11th Madison Square in New York, I think. And he was a general manager, or still is, of that restaurant for many years. And there is a lot of great content in there on people leadership, on service delivery, so I highly recommend. But one of the things he's talking about is that in that restaurant, what they wanted to achieve is merge the exquisite cuisine of fine dining restaurant with the service of the restaurant that was more adapted to contemporary requirements of the client. In traditional fine dining, the rules of even for the clients to eat and behave in the restaurant were very strict and old-fashioned. And sometimes it was the waiter or the chef that were the boss and not the customer. The customer had to sit a certain way and had to hold themselves a certain way, whereas in the contemporary world, we're less formal, we're more casual. We want to have a great experience and also be comfortable at the same time in the restaurant. This is what the customers wanted, and he describes how the restaurant adapted it, right? So yes, they provided the exquisite food of fine dining, the great service of fine dining, while adapting to what their customers wanted and not exactly following the tradition of what it used to be. Now, if that seems complicated, or if you're like, Maggie, yeah, that sounds great, but I don't even know where to start in my business, how to go through my client's journey, what to look at in order to standardize certain things to ensure that my service level is always at the highest level, how to make that experience extra special. Of course, I can help you. I help my clients to uniquely adapt that to their businesses, to their industry, to where their business is at, and what are their goals. And we accomplish that through my top CEO continuous success recipe. So, hey, reach out to me. Let's book a call and we'll talk about it. Okay. Now, the second strategy I wanted to share with you is create systems and processes that allow you to not only maintain the relationship, but deepen the connection with your clients in between their touch points with you, in between their experiencing services with you. As we said, if you have clients who are coming to your place or to your business for service, every so often there's a time that lapses in between, unless you're servicing them all the time and you're meeting with them on a regular basis. But if there are some lapses, you want to keep building that relationship, keep deepening the connection, even if they're not in this moment getting your service. So how you can accomplish that, there's multiple ways you can implement them all. You can start with some, again, depends on your business, on type of your business, how many clients you have coming to you every day, every month. But here are some ideas. The first one is, especially if you have maybe less customers a year because you're servicing, or you have either high-end clientele or your services are on the higher level in terms of the pricing, high-end pricing, maybe you do less projects a year, make sure that you have personal touch points with the best clients, because those are the ones who you want to retain, the best ones. Maybe it's possible to invite them for lunch or coffee or online meeting, have a phone call with them, a check-in, like something personal that makes them feel special, that tells them you're thinking about them, even in between the services, that this is not just a transactional relationship for you, that you want to build a true partnership and relationship with them. Another way, now this way can apply to all types of services business, even if you're more of a transactional business and you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of customers or clients every month, and that's through email. I have to say, there are some clients of mine that I need to coach on the emails and building a newsletter cadence or frequency to even connect with their clients, because they have all the thoughts about, I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to be flooding my clients' inboxes with the emails and so on. But what usually they have in mind, they're thinking about sales promotions that they're getting in their inbox, maybe from big brands that are a bit faceless, they're not even service, right? That are just all they're sending to their subscribers as sales and deals. And of course, those emails at some point get boring. We're getting a lot of them. Who wants to open them? But what I mean for you as a service provider, like a small and medium-sized business owners who's building a connection with the client, is to use the email as a way to deepen the connection. Because think about it, your client with whom you already have a relationship would love to hear from you. And in an email, it's a very intimate way for them to experience or to know something about you and to learn something about you and your business. I know that when we're using, let's say, customer relationship management systems or email system, we're sending hundreds of emails all at once or thousands of emails all at once. Our brain wants us to think that this is very impersonal. But your client who's reading that email, they don't think about thousands of other emails you send to other people. They're reading that email as if it is directed to them, because it is, because you can still do customization even through the systems. It can be directed to them. And if you craft a newsletter strategy or email strategy that's very unique to your business, that it's focused on building the relationship and deepening the connection rather than sales and promotions, it can have a powerful impact on retaining your clients. I remember one of my clients that I coached not that long ago on starting a newsletter. They were resistant, to say the least, in the beginning. But then when they sent the first newsletter in years, they received so much fabulous feedback from their customer base. The customer was sending back, being so happy and thankful to have heard from them. They were encouraging my client to keep going, that they love to hear from them. It's all in the strategy. It's all what you make of it. You can really make email work for you, that relationship, going deeper with it. And the last strategy I want to talk about is making it easy for your customers to come back and getting every step of their journey smooth with you. So it's as easy and simple for them as possible. Think about it this way. We're all busy. Our lives are busy. So it's great value when the interactions we have with our service providers are smooth and easy. I always think about myself. I'm a business owner, I'm a mom. If you make things easy for me to buy from you, to come back, to deal with you, I'm always grateful, because there's only so much I can juggle. If I have to go through crazy onboarding process or do a lot of work to even work with you, or remember a million steps to rebook and come back, it's going to be so hard for me to come back. A few things here. First is onboarding. So for brand new clients, when they're just starting to work with you and they're the most excited, make the onboarding process for them as easy as possible. Make it swift and quick. The excitement doesn't last long. If people need to wait to hear from you after they purchased your services or after they declared an intent to work with you, their excitement dampens, and then they start having maybe afterthoughts. Have I chosen right? And so on, because their trust is not fully there. They just trusted you enough to buy from you, but they're still not sure, can you deliver, right? So don't make them wait. If your onboarding process is very, let's say, formalized, and there's a lot of documents for people to fill in, especially if you're in like maybe financial industry or contracting and so on, make it as easy and swift for the clients. And if needed, maybe spend some time with them, doing it with them, rather than leaving them with a pile of stuff to fill in, trying to fit that into their busy life. It's going to be hard for them, and it will delay potentially your payment and your service delivery. Also, make it easy for people to come back. If, again, your services are cyclical and you want them to come back as soon as it makes sense, make it easy for them. I always appreciate when I go into my hair and hair appointment that I can book my next hair appointment right there and then with the assistant when I pay for services. Because if it was up to me and I had to come back home and then remember to go on some site and book my service, I would definitely come back less regularly, because I would get busy and forget, and then maybe I wouldn't be able to find the right spot that works for me in my timing and in the schedule. And it's not because I didn't want to come on a certain sequence, but because it was hard for me to rebook. Another thing you can do, for people to come back, other than making it easy for them to come back, you can create certain bonuses, whether they're for frequent users of your service, like airlines have frequent flyers, cards, and bonuses, or maybe after X amount of services, they get a bonus or service. You can be creative here, right? How can you else recognize and incentivize, especially the clients, your best clients who are using your services the most often? And then the last part of that is any issues, questions, complaints. Make it easy for the clients to communicate with you when things arise, deal with them swiftly without much issues, and so on. We all know, for example, the big app or software companies, or even like social media, if you have an issue with your account, or if you have a question, even about features that they offer, it's literally impossible to talk to somebody. It's sometimes impossible to get your case heard. So now we're not big corporations as small business owners, but this is our advantage because we can have that personal touch and we can really make our clients feel heard and understood and valued, not only when things go right, but also when sometimes things go wrong, because we're all human, we're not perfect. Sometimes things happen. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you today. If you would like to increase your client retention in a very strategic way in your business, and you would like to make a system out of it so it's measurable, you can track it, you know exactly what's happening and how to retain more and more clients, I'm happy to help. All you need to do is book a sales consultation with me. I'm going to share a link to my calendar in the show notes, and you can do it there. Thank you for listening, and talk to you next week. Bye.